The line came out for Stipe versus Jon Jones. Have you guys seen this? I'm going to take a beat here, take a breath here, just so you can get in your own head what you think that would be. Because I will tell you what I thought it would be. I thought it would be 2-1, but that's by Chael's terms, right? Buck 80. That's probably what I thought it would be, but we'll call that 2. And I thought that could move. We're gonna have to see some training video. I think when it comes out, Stipe with his shirt off, I think 252-pound Stipe Miocic, I think it changes the line. This is my prediction. 3-1, Jon Jones. My prediction is crap. It is 3-1 DraftKings right now. Now, we get that we're as good as our last fight. That has always been a rule in this sport. So for Jon Jones to come in and have the most dominant heavyweight title fight of all time, maybe. Stipe had the exact opposite, right? Jon Jones got to finish, Stipe got finished. So it is in line, but it's very different opponents, and I argue with it. I think they've got an interesting fight. And that's with me fully admitting how incredible Jon Jones looked. And understand you're as good as your last fight. Stipe's a different deal. I really believe that. And Daniel Cormier weighed in. Been in the ring with both of them. I mean, MMA math is a very effective thing, no matter how much we like to say it doesn't work. Daniel said, hey, this is a different thing. And I will tell you guys, now I'm stretching here. Jon Jones is the favorite of the fight. I get that. I told you I thought it'd be 2-1. I'm just sharing with you. 3-1 is a little bit extreme, and I want to tell you why, because this is what somebody said to me. They said, Chael, there's a stat out there on fighters who have taken a break and return over 40. And only one of them, his name is Randy Couture, has won. Now, I haven't doubled down, and I didn't check and research the stat. I'm repeating what somebody said to me. Off the top of my head, that sounds right. It is really hard to take breaks in this sport. Stipe's been out for a minute. It's really hard to take breaks and come back. You want to know why I give him a full pass? Because I know what he was doing on that break. Generally, not only do we not know what a guy's doing on a break, we got a pretty damn good idea. He wasn't doing anything. Just didn't have the motivation. Just don't. As much as you want it, as driven as you are, as focused as you are, if you don't have that deadline, you don't have that extra reason to peak, you don't have that guy finish that sprint, catch the guy in front of you, get that aerodynamic, you just don't have it. But Stipe did. He had a very specific goal. It wasn't to fight somebody. He had a very specific goal. He changed his physiology. I mean, it's the exact same thing that Jon Jones just did, guys. Jon Jones have the best performance he's ever had? He did the same. Stipe just did the same thing. Rested his mind. Built his body. Studied the competition. Picked his shot. Come back just at the right time against just the guy. I mean, they're doing the same thing. I'm just bringing it to your attention. One thing that happens, it's the bad news. The bad news to being dominant. And you can go back and you can find this. I'll use the Bullet as an example. But do you guys remember 2 fights ago when the Bullet had this really close fight? It goes all 5 rounds and it kind of came down to the wire. She really showed us that heart and grit. But you want to know one of the reasons that fight was so hard for her? Because the previous ones weren't. Do you want to know the number one reason that Ronda Rousey had a hard time with Holly Holm? It wasn't kickboxing. It wasn't the flight to Australia. It wasn't the crowd. It wasn't the media. It wasn't the pressure. It was the previous 4 opponents. When you get on a roll, you start to think things are going to be easy. There's nothing you could do. Happens in everything in life. You start getting good in business, you start getting a hot hand, you will start doing other things just like, oh, I can't miss. And then you will, and you'll realize, hey, got to slow down, got to be smart. I can't do anything. I can't just do everything. I just share with you, there is a concern for me when Jon Jones, in this case, it's any athlete, not giving Jon a hard time over here. when any athlete gets a really good result that they shouldn't have got, right? If you're going to finish a guy who's younger, who's bigger, and who's more active than you, and you're going to finish him in the first round without so much as a scrape, you are going to have massive amounts of strategy, of training, and focus on that one guy. None of that happened. Jon thought he was fighting Francis. Then Jon thought he was fighting Stipe. I mean, you want to give Jon Jones credit, make sure you understand. He thought he was fighting Francis. He was willing to fight Stipe and then ends up fighting Ciryl Gane. I mean, I only share that with you because look at that dominant win. It wasn't as though Jon knew what he was getting into. It wasn't as though Jon had studied, been sitting around 3 years preparing for Ciryl Gane. It wasn't like that at all. If Jon would have gone out there and had this tactical match against Francis Ngannou, we could say, well, yeah, but Jon's known for 3 years and he's been studying him. He's doing nothing but planning for him. He saw his opening, went for that takedown. That's the one that he's susceptible for. We could, all of those things would be true. He wasn't any more prepared for Ciryl Gane than he was the man on the moon. You got to give him credit for that, massive credit for that. But you go out and you got to finish over a guy. You should have had a whole bunch of strategy, whole bunch of session, whole bunch of tapes, and we know that didn't happen. We know that didn't happen because that was the third choice of opponent. Okay, great. But if that happens, if you're going to go out there and you're going to get a jump on the guy, you're going to run over him in that fashion, you're going to take so much as a scratch. You're going to bring the ringside fellow fighters speechless. 3 announcers saying nothing, right? You're going to have to sacrifice. You're going to have to work hard. You're going to have to be dedicated. You're going to have to be in that gym. You're going to have to outwork everybody. You're not going to have time for private life and social media life and this tour, and I'm going to fly out to Arizona for a week here, and I'm going to go to my garage for a week, and I'm going to catch a workout out in Albuquerque for a month. It's not going to work that way. It's really important that you understand this. Because I have seen many, and so have you just don't know it. I'm bringing it to your attention now. You'll see many guys who will go out there and they will get a result that is much exemplified, better than it should have been. And then all of the habits that they had, all of the stuff when they were in the locker room before they walked out, and you know what you do in the locker room before you walk out? You guys think it's all about being confident? Because that's what the announcers do. Oh, that fighter sure is confident. You want to know what it's like in the locker room? You make yourself deals that you'll never do again. For my next fight, I am going to run 5 miles 3 days a week. Promise, Chael. Swear to God. Swear to God. Right now, Chael, make me the promise. For my next fight, I'm going to go on the alkaline diet. And I'm going to start this 30 days in advance. Instead of 2 weeks of it, you start making yourself deals. You don't get in that moment and be glad for all the things you did. Grateful for your coaches. Grateful for those 2 days. Grateful for that sacrifice. Grateful for that hard work. You don't. You start to think about more that you wish you would have done. So I'm just sharing with you, when you're in Jon's spot, you're bouncing around, man. God, I'm out here with Henry. I think he was going to put Henry in his corner, but I don't remember if he did it. Did you guys see Cejudo in the corner? I know he's there. I can't remember if he was in the actual corner. But, you know, he's going on getting good work with Henry. And then Greg Jackson provided a spot. And I realize that's kind of a normal, but it was still a different location. Jon does a lot of work in his garage. He changed weight class, right? He went from Francis to Stipe to Ciryl. Francis summer of last year, Stipe December of last year, Ciryl Saturday of last week. I mean, I'm just sharing, but there was so many moving parts that if you're Jon Jones, you got to be looking and going, hey, next time, to get this a little clearer. I get just a little bit clearer marching orders. You're thinking these things. Then you go out and you have that performance. You know what happens when you return to the locker room? You forgot you thought those things. And all you do is look at how perfect it was. And I will tell you, Clayton and I were guilty of it too. Everybody's guilty of it, but I'll just admit we were guilty of it too. If Clayton and I lost a match, okay, that is when we would go back and we would make changes. But if we won, we did not. And that was a mistake. You can win matches, but not have the performance. You can win matches and make mistakes. But you don't go back and you don't study those fights. You don't go back and second guess that. You be getting your ass kicked, land one punch, knock the guy out. It is a situation where you will not go in the back and question how you prepared or why you were losing the previous rounds. It just doesn't work that way. It's really tough to do. And I bring that too because that's why Holly Holm was able to beat Ronda. Because the previous 4 girls didn't give Ronda any work. They didn't give her any sweat. So prepare for a girl and you get rid of her in a minute. Well, go do that again. And she did, and got rid of that girl in a minute. Well, pretty soon it seems like, well, I must be doing the right thing to get rid of girls in a minute. And she went out and got rid of the 3rd and rid of the 4th one. I'm just sharing for you. She did nothing wrong. It's normal human psychology, but it's a concern. If you're Stipe and you're coming off loss, you're used to something really hard. You're used to big strikers. You're used to, I got to have an urgency to take this guy down. He's in good shape and he's not scared to fight. You're used to that, regardless of the outcome. That's what you're used to versus I'm going to go out there, I'm going to fall on top of this guy like I do everybody else, and I'm going to put him away. It's tough. It's not enough to swing the pendulum, guys. I'm going to start this piece telling I thought Jon would be a 2-1 favorite. 3-1, that's strong. 3-1. Now, how's he going to beat Stipe? You might have an answer to the question, but what is the answer to the question? He's going to go take Stipe down like it's nothing, and then he's going to keep him there? What Daniel Cormier could not do in 15 rounds, Jon's going to just go out and throw Stipe down? Do you really believe that? It's one of those things. Jon's going to pick him apart on the feet. He picks everybody else apart. Maybe that's what you think. He's going to pick him apart while avoiding the takedowns of Stipe, who was a Division I wrestler. I mean, I think you got some questions there. You might come to a conclusion. I just don't think you come to a conclusion that's 3-1.